Have you ever just stared at the AWS EC2 pricing page and felt completely lost? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. So today, we're going to cut through all that confusion. We'll help you pick the perfect option for your project and, of course, for your wallet. Let's dive right in.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about why this choice is so critical. Then, we're going to walk through the main options, the flexible default, on demand. Then we'll get into the long-term commitment stuff for saving big bucks. After that, the high-risk, high-reward gamble, and some special cases. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with the ultimate cheat sheet to make sure it all sticks.
Okay, so this is the big question, right? This is the core problem we're solving today. AWS gives you all this incredible power and flexibility, but with seven different ways to pay for compute, it's just so easy to accidentally overspend or, pick a model that just doesn't fit what you're trying to do. Getting this right, it's a massive part of optimizing your costs. And here they are, all 7 of them. I know, it looks like a lot, but trust me, each one has its own sweet spot. And we're going to break down all the trade-offs, cost versus flexibility versus risk for every single one. Honestly, getting this right is a total game changer for your cloud bill. All right, let's kick things off with the one you've probably used before. It's the baseline, it's the default, it's the most straightforward option of them all, on demand.
The real beauty of on-demand is just how simple it is. You pay for what you use, literally by the second, with zero long-term commitment. This makes it absolutely perfect for any workload that's new, unpredictable, or maybe just needs to run for a short while. Think dev environments, testing servers, or those sudden, unexpected traffic spikes. To really make this stick, let's use a little analogy. Think of on-demand like walking into a fancy resort without a reservation. You can get a room whenever you want, no problem, but you're going to pay the full standard rate for that convenience. And hey, for those of you studying for your AWS certs, this is a golden rule. Seriously, if you see a question describing a workload that's spiky or brand new or just absolutely cannot be interrupted, on-demand is almost always the right answer. Just remember, with on-demand, what you're really paying for is that flexibility. But what if your workload is predictable? What if you have a database or a web server that's just chugging along 24/7? Well, that's where you can unlock some serious savings. So let's talk about reserved instances and savings plans. Just how much can you save? I mean, really, how about up to 72% compared to on-demand prices? I mean, that is a massive discount, and it's basically AWS's way of rewarding you for committing to use their services over a 1 or 3 year term. So what's the actual difference between these two? Well, a reserved instance, or an RI, is a commitment to a specific instance family, like, say, the M5 family, in a specific region. A savings plan, on the other hand, is a commitment to spend a certain dollar amount per hour. This gives you way more flexibility to switch between instance sizes or even operating systems within that family. Okay, let's go back to our resort analogy. A reserved instance is like marching up to the front desk and saying, I will book this exact king suite with the ocean view for the next 3 years straight and getting a huge discount for it. A savings plan is more like telling them, look, I promise I'll spend $300 a month with you guys for the next year, but I might want to switch between the king suite and maybe a standard room. You get more flexibility, but still those great savings. And here's another exam tip for you. If a question is talking about a super steady application, like a database that's not going to change, an RI is a perfect fit. But if it mentions needing cost savings plus the flexibility to maybe modernize or change instance types down the road, well, savings plans are the modern, more flexible answer you're looking for. All right, now let's get to the most exciting and definitely the riskiest option. What if I told you that you could get a discount that completely blows that 72% out of the water? Well, welcome to the wild world of spot instances. Nope, that's not a typo. You can save up to 90% compared to on-demand. This is, without a doubt, the absolute cheapest way to get compute power in AWS. But a number like that has to come with a catch, right? Oh yeah, it comes with a massive catch. See, spot instances are basically AWS's spare, unused capacity. You're bidding on it, and if AWS needs that capacity back, or if someone else outbids you, they can terminate your instance with just a 2-minute warning. Poof, gone. So this is the crucial point. You can only use Spot for workloads that can handle being interrupted. We're talking about things like batch processing, big data analysis, video rendering, or maybe some CI/CD jobs. Tasks that can be paused and just picked up later. What you would never, ever do is run your critical production database on a Spot instance. That's a recipe for disaster. And our resort analogy illustrates this perfectly. Spot is like getting a last-minute deal on an empty room for next to nothing. It's awesome, but if a full-paying customer shows up and wants that room, the hotel staff can and will politely ask you to leave. It's the ultimate high-risk, high-reward situation.
Okay, so we've covered the big three. Now let's quickly touch on a few of the more niche options. These are designed for various specific compliance or business needs you might run into. First up, a dedicated host. This gives you an entire physical server, all to yourself. This is usually for things like complicated software licensing or super strict compliance requirements. Then you have dedicated instances, which also give you hardware isolation, but you don't control the physical server itself. And finally, there are capacity reservations. These let you pre-book capacity in a specific availability zone, guaranteeing it's there when you need it. You still pay the on-demand rate for it, though.
And to wrap up our little resort analogy for good, a dedicated host is like booking the entire resort building. A dedicated instance is like booking a private floor. And a capacity reservation? That's like paying to keep a specific room on hold whether you use it or not, just so you know it's available if, say, a huge conference comes to town.
Woo! We have covered a lot of ground. So to make sure this all sticks and is super useful, let's pull it all together into a final, easy-to-read cheat sheet. This cheat sheet really brings it all home. You can see all the trade-offs at a single glance. On demand, most flexible, but also most expensive. Spot, the absolute cheapest, but you have to be ready for those interruptions. And RIs and savings plans are just perfect for those long-term predictable workloads where you really want to maximize your savings. Think of this as your go-to map for navigating EC2 pricing. And hey, one last time for everyone prepping for an exam, let's boil this down to the absolute essential keywords. Just link these in your mind. On-demand means unpredictable. RIs, predictable. Savings plans, flexible spend. Spot is interruptible. Dedicated host is all about the license. And capacity reservation is your guarantee. That's really the core of what you need to know.
So the next time you go to launch an EC2 instance, just pause for a second. Instead of just clicking the default, really think about your workload's pattern. By matching it to the right purchasing option, you're not just deploying an application, you're being a smart, cost-effective cloud architect. So the question is, which path will you take?